Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game of today's First Stand 2025 matchup.
I agree with you, and I think that top esports approach in the bans, I don't think they need to change too much. I like the Azir takeaway from Vladdy. I think that removing things like Maokai and Sejuani from the pool from KC is a really smart choice. Because again, when we think about frontline, utility, facilitators, these are the type of champions that fit that modem perfectly. The other thing for top esports to consider are things like the Ivern. Ivern could also be a problem champion that, especially if KC want to go for more of the scaling route.
Well, I think they've identified the same things that you have on the side of KC. They're taking with Nidalee, who's fantastic into those tank junglers, can just run circles around them. Interestingly, KC have also banned the Vi, but more respect for TES towards what I would say standard champions in the meta, sure, but champions that would go great for the way that we've seen KC play so far. And it's just Maokai Sejuani. Look, I think the whole world has recognized, like, hey, this guy has been struggling when he's not on these supportive picks.
They're definitely putting Yike under a lot of pressure right now, but this definitely leans more towards something like the Ivern, because then they can go much more hyper carry.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that also gives additional comfort and support for players like Kalist and Vladdy, who have been such big stars. It also pairs really well with some of these melee carries that I think Kana is excellent on in the top lane. So I do think it could be a cool angle. We'll see if they find the ability to go for it in the draft. As Vi taken away, Nidalee taken away.
Shout out to the champ select music for not matching
Varus
the level of stress that I have at all.
I mean, I feel like Varus has to be the lock-in, and it makes so much sense for Jackalope. We talked about how KC want to have that winning bot lane 2 versus 2, and we've seen Varus use as an answer into the Kalista. And the only answer I think they could consider is something like a Draven, but it is like, it's risky going into this match.
I think you can go, I think Ezreal and just play range and play to concede as well, but you won't have the push like you were talking about, Vetty. And Kalista is actually 0-3 in the tournament now because it does struggle into range. Varus was used as a trap pick for it twice. I think Ashe, Karma was a great answer as well, but I do think, playing towards the Ezreal can make some sense. We didn't see a great game from Kalista on it when he played against TL. He was getting pushed in and kind of just ended up playing pretty passively, was a bit of a passenger in that game. But there is the other option of going, with a ranged poke support and actually turning it into a bit of a bully lane.
And Targamas no stranger to pulling out more unique range supports options, as we now see the Corki coming through as well. But the Varus, the lethality Varus, especially one of the few champions that can match mid-prio. We saw Yon use that to great effect, really took Kalista out of the game. Maybe it'll be a different case this time. But Corki and Yon, also not the easiest early matchup.
It's something that we've seen internationally last year, especially at Worlds. Yone was used as an answer into Corki specifically. But that doesn't mean that the matchup is really bad for Corki. You can also pair up something like the Zyra here if you want to, especially when you've got the dive that's likely going to be coming through from the Yone.
We've seen over the few days is if mid-game compositions that have limited windows of opportunity have not been good for KC.
I feel like if you see the angle for it, though, this is the opportunity to kind of throw it all out there because they're in a very difficult position. They're 0-2, and they have to basically win out to get through. I'm not sure if you're mathematically eliminated already, but like, most of the options are pretty doomed because
that's a Karthus.
Best case scenario.
Because you lost the head-to-head against the two teams that are most likely to be at one win, so it needed to be a three-way tie or something weird. So it's like you probably need to win 2 series in a row. If you see a good angle, go for it. Karthus, I feel like, is something that could be problematic potentially if you do go towards Ivern because you can just power farm so quickly.
Go for the Leona. I mean, I hope that he's got something prepared for the jungle. Because, we've talked so much about the Ivern, but that is Kanavi's Karthus.
I mean, you can also just go something basic in, like Zinzao or whatever, right?
Sure. I don't love that into Karthus, though.
No.
I mean, right now, the biggest green flag for KC is that the front line from top esports is very weak. Yeah. Bear in mind, 369, no stranger to playing the tanks. Yeah. Things like Cassante, I mean, he's one of the best teamfighting Cassante players in the world. I remember his Ornn still, there's a lot of potential for him to provide that front line. Yeah, Poppy Ban also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I think Chris could have easily gone in towards a Poppy, answer the Leona, and then you can't actually look for any hard engage, and then you're just kind of pushing in the Ezreal nonstop. That can be pretty difficult to deal with. But yeah, I mean, I think based on the draft, we already have 3 hyper carries essentially on the TES side. So I think that basically the last 2 picks you're looking for are facilitators, and that's what should be targeted in the bans here from KC, right? You've already banned out the Poppy. You are, to me, looking towards something like an Alistar or like a Nautilus or something like that to potentially take that away, or another tank top for 369, and then trying to set up for a potential really good ban for Karthus, rather for Kenna, but it is going to be the Alistar kind of like I expected.
That Ken and ban. does lead me to believe that 369 is thinking about the
Jax
Ornn.
or Ornn.
Yeah, Jax is also sort of a possibility.
Yeah, I think Jax, is kind of the one that a lot of people look towards really commonly. We saw 369 even playing it into Zeus in their matchup. That's a matchup that he particularly likes quite a lot. So it does lead me to believe that he could be thinking about that. One of the things I will say, while I was initially thinking about like tank and engage, if you go towards side lane champions like the Jax, Karthus can really enable you to get control and get those solo kills. Well, it's not a solo kill, but like get those kills in the kind of isolated 1v1 a lot more easily because the Karthus ult can come through and really kind of change things up.
Are you still excited about the Ivern, Vetty, despite the fact that there's Karthus locked in?
The beautiful thing about Ivern is because you get to build
Rush
things like redemption. I think that you have a lot of itemization to help mitigate a lot of the burst. There's with a locket that's likely going to come through from the Leona
Locket plus
as well.
redemption.
It's just, I think it does offer tools, and also like with Ezreal, you just inherently have a lot of range, but you're also best supported by the Yone. I do think Casey's looking at a carry to round out this composition. The question is, it's going to depend on what 369 brings out in top lane, whether it is something fully tanked like the Ornn or something a little bit more like Kassan.
I'm just really interested to see what they go for the top lane, right? Because if it is going to be more of a side laner, things like we talked about, like the Jax or whatever, or if it is going to be something like an Ornn. Because if you do go Ornn, one of the things I really like about it is that it's non-committal engage. You're not throwing your body in there, and that's one of the things that can be difficult for them to deal with. This is a bit of kind of like bridging the gap. It's kind of an in-between pick, which I do like. You have the ability to play heavily through side lane. It's not that easy to counter because most of the counter picks are things that are really heavy commitment, things like Quinn and Aurelia and champions like that we might not see Kana feel comfortable playing. He has the support of the Karthus to play through sides. He can be strong in the 5v5. So I think it is a pretty flexible pick and an intelligent one to really round out the draft when you are playing blind from this spot. Whereas, if you were to go towards something like the Ornn and you run into the Aatrox, that's going to potentially be a lot more difficult. And this is going to be a really exciting game, I think.
I don't know how I feel about the Aatrox, but what I will say is that top esports, I think they have a lot of agency in the early game. How much they can use that pushing power to actually affect the enemy jungle against an Ivern, we'll have to wait and see. But I think the amount of early game options that top esports have, just thanks to the Varus control and the Gnar on the top side of the map, I'm worried about what that'll do for Casey's early game.
And one thing I will say is, while, when in the isolated matchup, maybe I don't love the Aatrox as much, when you give it the support of the Ivern, it has so much more ability. You hit that Q, and then all of a sudden you get an extra dash into the backline. You're there with the Yone, you're there with the Leona ultimate, all pressuring these double 80 carries, and making this champion that can be so tanky already with an early Thunder Sky that much harder to kill with the Ivern backing him up.
This is going to be an incredible game. That's enough from us here, breaking down the draft. Time to send it over to casters for game 2.
Thank you guys so much for that great breakdown of the draft. I loved the Ivern call into the Karthus. I think it's going to make a lot of sense. And I think that with this draft, Karmine Corp have a legitimate chance to take another game here in this second one, just right off the bat.
I mean, they certainly do. I feel like there's a lot of variance in top esports play, even just at this tournament. Overall, throughout the history, yes, and just at this tournament as well. And so, especially Kanavi. So we'll see. Of course, Karthus passive is quite nice if you are in the mode where you're going super deep. Being able to cast from death can be quite nice, but very, very interesting drafts this time around. So excited to track this one because he has a 40% win rate on Karthus jungle so far. Only 5 games, so not the biggest sample size for him, but let's see how it operates this time around.
Well, yike on the Ivern coming in here. And as the desk was mentioning, you can set up brush, you can set up a bunch of shields, and you can go redemption first from the jungle. So it really offers you a lot of answers into the AoE magic damage from the Karthus. And it's a pick that he's comfortable with. It can go well with the Aatrox, the Yone, and the Ezreal as well. So really feels like it offers a lot to this composition. Not to say that top esports' one isn't that good. I just think that the Ivern specifically is quite a nice one. Cream here on the Corki, going to try to get it started very early on. A relatively common answer to the Yone we have seen this season.
Yeah, definitely true, and should have some lane priority. So with lane priority, I already see some Karthus movements on my screen on that mini-map, and Kanavi coming over with the Raptor Ward. They want to punish the channeling here from Ivern. While Ivern is still level 1, the freshly channeled camp here wants to invest in it. So Yike is going to counter with his smite, but now, without that smite, is going to have super disrupted path, and Kanavi knows he can keep this up because look at the solo lanes. When you draft strong solo lanes like this and an Ivern, your Ivern pays the, or excuse me, your enemies draft strong solo lanes, your Ivern kind of pays the price. Kanavi there harassing. Looks like they're going to circle back around. You actually didn't give up on it, and that means it was actually kind of good because you get the delay time, so the loss of your smite doesn't hurt as much because your other previously channeled ones fully channel. And so in the end, it actually ends up being more wasted time there for Kanavi, and Yike was kind of happy with it. So little roller coaster of emotions there.
Yeah,
I thought Kanavi was going to be able to go through and keep up the invade.
For sure. Well, we got a bit of a fight down here. Yike, level 3, he's already in the bot lane looking for something. The cleanse comes out from Jackie, but that actually hit Crisp as he's in a bit of trouble, and he doesn't have his flash. Down he will go, first blood. Yike already on the board.
Dude, Yike's redemption arc is going hard today. His Skarner game into this game now, absolutely massive stuff so far. I mean, I saw a red question mark ping up by the Raptors. They were like, what was he trying to do? Honestly, yeah, I thought he was going to be able to go away, steal the red buff afterwards, but that was just such good response from Yike. Gets off the first gank, you know, and is able to delay as well when both of them delay their timers. Goes back, picks up the full channel. Huge.
And that's the thing. I mean, an Ivern can make a gank like this happen. A Karthus cannot. The Karthus wants to be just power farming, but as you mentioned, he wasted so much time just invading for nothing, essentially. And this is what it amounts to. Yike's is able to get down here, land a root, and that's pretty much game over for Chris.
Yeah, really, really, really big. Look at that.
This is, of course, outside the arena at Lol Park. Watching all the KC fans.
They're still sitting, though. No, not standing up. You know, it's really early in the game. Okay, still early in the game. Everybody, hold on.
They were pretty hype at the beginning of the tournament, so they wanted to, you know, tone it down a little bit just to make sure that this one was for real this time. And it might just be. It might just be.
So after all of the shenanigans that we had early on in the game, that ended up with the first blood in the hands of Yike himself, actually, on the Ivern. They did go back to their full clear there for Kanavi after he used up his time. So now with the all camps down and looking for the reset here, right back out. Looks like maybe make a pass towards mid lane there first while he's waiting for the respawns. Of course, he took his blue buff and then like used up a bunch of the time, so his second spawns of camps, even though he did do the full clear, are going to be delayed on their respawn. So definitely a little bit of extra pain there.
Yeah, he kind of just run around. He is going to go back to his Raptors. As they have completed now, he can go back to the Wolves. And yeah, I mean, it's just a nice early gank to get them started off on the right foot, to get the Ivern to his first item a bit quicker. His items are going to be relatively cheap compared to other junglers. Meanwhile, 369, level 6, just threatening maybe a bit of a trade underneath the turret, and is going to proxy the wave for now.
Yeah, another visit towards bottom lane.
Gonna make it happen, and guess what? There's no flashes down here for their side for Jackie Love. There's the root onto the Ash, and it's just another kill, and this time he's able to give it over to Klist.
The camp on bottom lane paying dividends for KC. Yes, the solo lanes are getting pushed in, and TES winning both of those, but Yike plus the bottom lane here combines for another one. This one taking down Jackie. And that one's even better. It actually forces out the lane swap from TES. In their reaction to that, they teleport 369 down to bottom lane.
Well, he TPs into a pretty terrifying situation. He has to blow his flash there just to get away. And yeah, they're going to be able to collect that. Top Esports are going to get these grubs here. All three of them. Meanwhile, we do have Yike, not yet level 6, so he's not going to go for the dragon just yet. But here's the follow-up gank in the bottom lane.
Yeah, going straight for him. Jackie Love, no flash, so Really good engage there from Targa, right out of the brush, sets it up. And when you have a Leona and Ivern, it's so easy with that much CC. Really nice layering there. Immediately jumping on him and punishing once again. Plus,
there's a chance here to make something happen. And if Targamas can get in range on a Chris, maybe. It was very close. I mean, that looked like, you know, they weren't going to get that gank this time, but, you know, that control ward is going to save the bottom lane of top esports this time.
Yeah, and the biggest part, of course, of the last one was that Kalista actually got the kill and got the money there too onto the Ezreal where they actually want it. Target going to stop the recall. Pops the Ignite for the stop on the recall. Back to the beginning, though. Like, the solo lanes were going so well for TES, and we're pushing in. And Kanavi got off his second full clear there for the Karthus. So still going to have to keep track of how the solo lanes do turn out. Cream here now under a little bit of pressure from Vladdy, but Cream doing a very good job keeping his farm up, as well as a decent amount of harassment.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for the mid lane. Relatively even at this point, but the Corki gets ahead early on, so just going to enjoy a little bit of a lead. 369 still trying to pressure his lane opponent, and Kalista's done a great job, rather, of just keeping the lane in a great spot underneath this turret. 369 is going to miss the Gnar this time around, but there are 4 members of top esports in the bottom lane. Can they kill Kana, who's got the World Ender? Kana just trying to run away from this one. Meanwhile, Daisy is behind them. The root comes in onto the mini Gnar, but it's a 3v4, and you can see that Karmine Corp just gonna say, okay, well, we stopped the dive, we'll take that. Meanwhile, Kalista's getting free farm in the top lane.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting here because, I mean, Jackie got a turret plate on bottom side, but as you say, like, Kalista's free farming all by himself alone, so that's not just his turret plate. These are also the extra minion waves that are dying to the tower up there. So KC pretty happy again. Like, they want as many resources into the Ezreal as they can get. They are really putting a lot here into this Ezreal. We'll see if Kalist can have a big game for himself. Such a young player, big star on the rise here on his international debut.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that his Ashe was very strong in the first game. I don't think the game was necessarily about him, but he's been very consistent for such a young player. It's very impressive to see what Kalista's done so far. And as you mentioned, now this is the potential game for him to be the main star of the show, to be the carry on something like the Ezreal, to match the 2-item spike of the Corki on the opposite side. They do have a lot of carry power in the other lanes as well, and it might just be the winning combination for the side, as now we got a big trade down here, but guess who's here again? It's Yike in the mid lane, trying to get it down onto Cream, who is just going to flash away from that one to survive. Otherwise, he would have died to an Ivern.
Meanwhile,
well, that happened.
That's that's a Varus ultimate down. Regardless, though, we had some counter jungling going on during Yite's visit towards mid lane, so Kanavi was able to get a tiny bit of counter jungling down off those Krugs as he continues back into his own jungle. So he is refocused back onto that Karthus farm, although not much as far as the Dark Harvest stacks go. Combat might actually ensue around the second Grub spawn because they did get the first 3-pack for themselves, but seems like a lot of focus here from KC going up there as Kalista even wants to walk his way up.
I mean, Kalista will get there eventually.
He's
it looks like, yeah, you saw him going back and forth a little bit, not 100% committing, but now he is. He's going to show himself in the mid lane, which very much says, okay, we are going to play for these grubs. As meanwhile, here comes the gank squad from the side of top esports trying to collapse onto Kalista and Vladdy, but they just run away. Meanwhile, Cream nearly dies as the True Shot barrage was so close. One more shot from the Ezreal would have gotten the job done. Meanwhile, the grub's not fully taken here by the side of Karmine Corp. They want to fight over this dragon, it appears, as everybody going to rotate down here and look to take down this Hextech.
Yeah, they pulled off the grubs in order to rotate through mid lane, and they did get the flash from Vladdy, but his ult will be coming back off of cooldown. So KC making their rotation, matching the move on over to the bottom side of the map, and they'll be able to get their dragon as well. Recall goes off there Crisp actually cancels it, but nobody gonna stick around to actually contest the objective, so they will get their first dragon.
Yeah, first dragon on the board here. And They have the 1 grub so far. We'll see how many more they can get. This is Karmine Corp talking about. Side of Top Esports, they have 3. And we just go ahead and reset. Looks like Kanavi gonna make a return here to the grubs. And 369 having the pry on top side and the reset coming off of the Dragon. It does look like Top Esports will get 5 in game number 2.
All right, quite nice for that pushing on the side lane. Some turret plate money still available for them for now if they can make use of it too. Maybe 369 make some early usage because they've got their duo lane in mid lane on the reset here. Rotate him over, send Corky down bot side for the side lane. Push out for him first. All right, the answer does come in. Back to regular clear here for Karthus too. Again, Kanavi has ult and Blackfire Torch done. So at the ready if they do try and push too heavily. And we do have a bit of a rotation down towards bottom side, so it might be the side of the fight. Even though Kanavi's clearing his top side, of course, Blackfire Torch plus his ultimate would lend a substantial amount of damage to any skirmish.
Yeah, it absolutely would. I mean, this game is still very close at the end of it all. You know, Karmine Corp got the first couple of kills. One of them did go to the Ivern. Really, it's going to be about Kalisz once he hits that 2-item spike where they're going to want to fight around that. He's also getting plates in mid somehow, just casually picks up another one. Kana avoids this gank, although Meganar is getting close. He's doing a ton of damage to Mininar before that, though. Will they go for the dive is the question. Looks like no. The Mininar here, 369, a bit too low. Yeah, and they won't commit to it.
Navi just checking Krugs there, see if he can do a little more counter jungle and keep his farm up, but no Krugs there, so just the Scuttle Crab for him, and not really exploding too much, so it's just going to be, again, the reset. This time, Chris actually hovered bottom side.
Well.
Nice glance.
Yeah, gets the very big zoom in from our observers. As, yeah, he did, of course, Arcane Shift into the Varus, which made it very easy for the chains to hit. As, yeah, that's going to be a bunch of CC in a Kanavi who just wanted to do his red buff, but he met up with so many members of Karmine Corp, as now he goes down. The big ult, though, is going to hit 2, as one of them does get shielded. He takes down the Leona, and that is about it. It's just the supports and, of course, Kanavi, who did go down there at the end of it all.
Yeah, Kanavi making use of that Karthus passive. He flashed to get closer so he could get off enough damage. And then as they try and go over the other side of it is 4 kills now for KC. In the aftermath on this reset, though, not too much as far as objectives, but the plate money in their favor. We kept on mentioning how many plates Kalista was getting, but here's another look at the engage. So they full send on Kanavi. Kanavi's going to try and make the most of it, flashing in so he can get the extra distance here, but Yike with the redemption, and Yike with the flash over the wall, and then he shielded himself, so he lived and limited the counter kill to just being the one there going over onto Leona.
There was that one ward that spotted Targamas going in, right? And also saw Yike going in, and still Kanavi was like, no, we win this fight. I'm just going to send my Karthus self into it. I am going to die, but we should win and get ahead from it. Unfortunately for them, they didn't, actually. It was Karmine Corp who got a couple of kills instead. And, you know, maybe he was able to pick up a Dark Harvest stack here or there, but it's not really worth it, I'd say, by the end of it all, as the MasterCard lane economy snapshot is going to show that KC is ahead, especially in the jungle, and the 80 carry role is the big one. Cream, though, getting pretty decently fed himself.
Yeah. And these leads right now are super, super minor, just, you know, a couple hundred gold, so not resulting in, you know, big item completion. So, but I mean, honestly, the redemption plus the shield just being just enough there for Yike to survive last time actually ended up being quite substantial. Now we've got another look up towards River right now. I mean, they do have the early push here with Varus towards mid lane, and they're kind of moving in. You can see on the mini-map here to try and retake these control wards, but Yike using the Ivern Brush, kind of camping here, keeping the vision, defending their wards for themselves here for KC, because they don't want to give up positioning towards Rift Herald first.
Yeah, Karmine Corp definitely want to stake their claim on this objective, and you can see that TES just moving entirely away from it, as Kana has gotten the message. He says, okay, abandon ship, I'm already pretty low, and it's stolen. The Scuttle Crab by Kalis very casually, just like, yeah, what's up? Thanks for the free goal, buddy.
Dude, he's been getting gold all over the map this game as we have a little bit of a scuffle on that side. But in the end, it's still going to be bottom tower solo gold for the Corki there for the local gold, plus their dragon. So feels quite nice there for TS and Kanavi as well. Always loving to dip in for a little bit of counter jungling, but Targa's back on the warpath. Again, the control ward, they saw Targa again on the approach.
Yeah, they saw him coming, and he's just going to be able to Hex Flash over the wall. That's pretty nice for him. Cream did get a full turret in bot, so he, once again, is the one guy. You could say that 369 also doing pretty well for himself. Kana's had to deal with Corki for the last couple of minutes, so not very good for him. But now we see Vladdy's going to pick up a turret by himself. 369 has to match, and the Rift Herald that was taken, this objective, the tempo in mid is going to be huge. They should be able to take down this mid tier 1. It's very close. They don't stick around for that final hit, but I mean, that's basically standing on one leg at this point.
Yeah. So as we do transition to the mid game with these outer towers starting to get very low and some of them falling down, we really have this magnifying glass on Yike so far this tournament. Last game, he was able to have both good individual plays as well as good team fighting on his Skarner, multiple picks and stuff. And in this game, again, he started out with some really good individual plays on the Ivern, and it transitioned so well into the team fights, looking at what TS are going to be throwing at them. And now he's got his Moonstone on top of the Redemption. So much of that kind of defense that you were highlighting that you really liked will be available here already on the kind of earlier timers, since the items for the support items are so much cheaper for him to buy.
Yeah, he's ahead. They're cheaper. It's just a very accelerated Ivern, which is fun to look at. We'll see what third item he does want to go for. And getting very close to the 2-item power spike are both the Ezreal and the Corki in this game. I would assume that both teams are going to say top esports because they're top esports. I don't know if they can feel that they're slightly behind. They might just say, we've got this Corki, we feel strong, we're going to send it, you know, that's what they do. Whereas on the side of Karmine Corp, I think they absolutely should fight around this big power spike for Kalist.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because Crisp here on the rel has potential to have such an explosive engage for TS that they're able to roll over. But if you kind of make the fight long and delay there with the Ivern on your team with enough pad on the defense, then they should be able to kind of handle it and then turn around the fight as it goes on. But currently need to handle that side lane again, so they send Kana on up to the top side. Kana, with both summoners available, will be able to react to any sort of TES aggression.
Yeah, definitely a much slower game compared to the ones we've had today, especially comparing to that first series, which was very fast for all the wrong and also right reasons. I mean, we had a Zed and a Vladimir in that series.
Depends on perspective, I guess.
Depends on perspective, yeah. If you're a Humble Life Esports fan, you really enjoyed that series. It was very fast. This one is much slower. I wouldn't be surprised if the top esports coach is like, hey, take a breather, don't be so crazy, and just back off a little bit. Whereas for KC, you know, there wasn't that much pressure on them, but now they're on the cusp of beating top esports in a 2-0. So now maybe feeling that pressure a little bit, and things have slowed down as we might look to fight over this Chemtech Soul. This is actually one that will matter quite a lot. Got some recent buffs, and you've got an Ivern on the side of KC. I think both sides have to fight for this one.
Definitely could be the big swinging point. I mean, top side also, 369 there. You got a good individual chunk onto Kana, as well as then being able to return, push in that minion wave. They had vision on the Ezreal and the rotation over, so good movement again by 369 and map awareness to be able to just back off after that. But here's our transition down to that dragon. We are building up. Again, 369 doing a good job again, harassing and building up his Gnar bar here. Gnar bar control is always so big on these dragon timers. And it looks like he just transitioned into Mega though. So as that Mega times out, he will be exhausted for a short while here. But it's honestly timed nicely because it's over 30 seconds away for the dragon. So he uses it and then he's going to build up a new fresh one for the dragon fight.
Should be on time. We also saw that top esports members were kind of hanging around the Otacon. I don't think they would be crazy enough to actually start that up in a game that's this close. but always got to keep that option open. It's Klist going to say, I will do a lot more damage to you than you will to me, Crisp. Even does a little bit of chip to Kanavi. And the poke that comes out from the Ezreal, we're definitely feeling a lot more of that compared to, you know, the poke from the Karthus or the poke from the Corki at this point.
Yeah, and the Varus on the other side too, that is Jackie.
That is very dangerous, but he's going to dodge it. So it pays off in the end. He does have his cleanse back. But yeah, this is really all just setting up to push TES away from the Dragon. Meanwhile, we've got 369. That's a world ender committed to, actually, as Kana looks to get that down. As now the Karthus ultimate coming in. Kana in a bit of trouble. The slow comes in. He has to flash this, but I don't know if he's getting away. Has to dodge the first Q, though, does 369. As, yeah, he gets away with the Mega Cone and kind of just distracts him. You see that top esports not able to join the Chemtech fight.
All right, so KC, they grab their Dragon number 2, and Jackie's got to get out of it. So it's Crisp.
They're getting so much more off of this. I mean, the Crisp kill, they might get Cream as well. In goes Vladdy, and he's just opening up more space for Kalist as one auto gets it down. He doesn't need to hit his Qs. If he can just auto him there, gets a shield as well from the Ivern, and Kalist is 3-0-2.
Oh man, Targa hits the Leona ultimate, and Kalist going forward. He got so much money this game. Ezreal time. Wait, 369. 369 doing a lot of work still. He's surrounded.
369, was he baited? Well, he's not going to be hit by that one. Vladdy might want a little bit more. He's got the shields. Will he get the support? Yes, he will. The Q3 and a shutdown for the Yone in mid lane.
KC all over the map now. Another close one here. Let's take a look. Arcane shift forward, but really it's going to be
this.
The Leona ult from Target. He flashes for the ult. He gets Jackie's cleanse and gets the engage onto Crisp. Kalist able to wait.
Live, Kana's getting bullied a bit, but is it a bait at the end of it all? Cream, he wants a bit more, but Crisp actually is the one that gets chunked out big time. Kana does as well. He doesn't have his TP. You can see Kalist wants the follow-up, and Crisp isn't able to do anything. Cream can't help him out. It's just a free support for Kalist here on the Ezreal.
I mean, it's just such a dream situation to play the Ezreal with the Ivern doing so well as... Okay, wait. Can they poke them off here beforehand? I mean, 15 seconds still left on Crisp. There's no way he's getting back, and 369 is walking.
And Kanavi low on mana. Oh, Targamas, he's stuck in the damage from the Otacon, but they have the redemption, the miss on the Yone ultimate, and now they're going to have to pull off of this one. Way too much damage done to Vladdy. Kana again being bullied. And TES, they might want a bit more. Depends on their vision. Vladdy does have TP. They're going to go for this Otacon. And will Karmine Corp commit to the fight afterwards? They need to TP Vladdy in if they're going to, but it's getting incredibly low. Yikes, still in the area. But they do a good job of zoning him away with the Meganar. The smite is early, but it's
GA. It's a revive one. I've gotten so used to the other one.
Way too little action in this game, Kobe.
Yeah, actually. Oh, in the end, they actually end up rebounding and pushing them back. Here's another look at the teleport through that actually started off the initial start on this Otacon, which was leased for so long. This one is the one that led to Chris' death in the very beginning. Kalist again on this Ezreal. Got so much money early on, has the freedom here to just jump forward and start it out. But KC end up shredding so much of their own armor and MR fighting this Otacon for so long. While Kanavi's like poking around, Jackie Love is poking around. Jackie Love has the shield cutting Serpent's Fang, by the way, in inventory, and this is the one where he finally got a nice little chunk there out of his ultimate, and he sidesteps Vladdy. So with those two chunks, they get a lot of space to kind of get their counter and pick up their GAs, but what can they do with the GAs now?
You can see that the call was to fight into that choke, and I feel like that at first is a bit of a mistake, you know, just to go that deep. If Vladdy hits his ult onto one person, like maybe you get the one pick off, but they're already taking so much. As meanwhile, we got a 1v1 on the top side with the unfair redemption to help out, but also the unfair Karthus ult. Will it do enough? No, it even doesn't go through the shield. So Kana going to enjoy 200 gold. Meanwhile, the push coming in down the mid lane. Top Esports trying to use their Otacon, the voracious Otacon buff to push some stuff as Q's come down here onto Kanavi, but Kalist not going to overstep his bounds at this point, especially with the Hextech Drake. I say that, though. He is getting so much poking at Jackie Love. Meanwhile, we got this Chemtech Drake coming up in 50 seconds.
Yeah, and that was a Karthus ultimate invested. Not only did they lose their GA in that attempt on the side lane play, but investing the Karthus ultimate quite big. Of course, it is a bit later into the game, so we'll see the timing on that one coming right back.
How did he even know he was there? Somehow he spotted him backing there. He's going to delay the back. I don't know if it's going to be on time. Oh, they're just going to do Baron?
Yes, they are. At least trying to get the early tempo play by teleporting up to the top side, push those minions out, and clear out all the vision, and make KC react to them as Dragon is spawning. But they're going to keep the pressure on it.
He TP'd up. They really want to use this. Well, they don't even have the Otacon buff anymore, so they're just going to start it and look to turn.
They know Vladdy has to walk.
Yeah, Vladdy's got to walk. We'll see if it works out. Crisp is taking a huge amount of damage. Meanwhile, 369 just gets jumped on here. Doesn't have the Megadar. And now they got to pull off of it. Look at this. Maybe a thanks for the leash angle, but no, it's just the team fight going in. The Karthus takes a massive chunk, but Targamas goes down as well. This Aatrox is going man mode, but he's going to be focused as KC. They just take the Baron down instead. They say thank you very much for the leash, and thank you very much for the fight. Cream is getting punched down as well, and it's a massive team fight for Karmine Corp.
Oh, that was a disastrous Baron for TES. Vladdy walks his way up. The rest of KC poke them inside the pit. Look how much damage TES take while they're trying to force this. Yeah, Vladdy has to walk from the bottom side, but it only takes these 4 members of KC to deal so much damage and force them out of the pit. And they jump on through with the Iron Redemption, even over the Karthus body. And with Kana wrapping around the other side, they're able to finish off the Baron, and then Vladdy here able to get the initiation onto both members, and Kalist does the cleanup duty here. They take them all down, they got the Baron, and KC will be marching towards a 2-0. They're gonna be marching towards the Dragon first here.
Yeah, it's Chemtech Soul for an Ivern comp, and you've got Aatrox, you've got Yone. These are champs that are going to just love the Chemtech Soul, and they have Baron on top of it, so they have so much pressure in mid and bot. It's really not much that Top Esports can do. It was a very interesting call to try to rush that Baron. It does not pay off at all, and KC's response was exactly correct. They did what they needed to do in response to that. So Chemtech Soul, or not quite yet, actually.
Yeah, just number 3.
Just number 3. So that is going to be very close to the Chemtech Soul. Still stacking up those dragons and enjoying a very nice buff on the 2 Chemtech dragons at this point. So looking pretty good. TES, they want to try to force something here. And I'm not sure that they have the angle. They don't even have Meganar. As now the Solar Flare comes down, but look at the poke right now from the Ezreal. He's just gigantic at this point. Level 16 is Kalist. And he's got 4 items.
Yeah, they've got Confident Kalist Cloak. They've got Split Push for Vladdy here towards mid lane with the Baron buff. Gonna be able to take down that tower while the rest of the team continues to apply pressure on the secondary turret. The inhibitor will fall, but TS, it's so hard for them because they're getting poked out by this fed Ezreal from all the money he got early on in the game, but then their engages are getting stuffed by KC's Peel and Ivern sustain. Oh, that actually hits though.
That is going to hit, but Jaculov has to back away because Kalist is still there. And Redemption comes in, it heals for like half of Yike's health. It's just incredible what this Ivern can do in this comp in terms of enabling the carries to do their job.
Yeah, he's got 14 stacks on the Medjais for the extra AP.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Kanavi doesn't even really get to play the game. Meanwhile, the fight is coming in. A massive Yone ultimate onto 2, and they both disappear immediately. And now Cream is zoned away. Karmine Corp are finally at the tournament as they are looking to take the 2-0 over Top Esports right now.
Huge props to Yike for massive turnaround series for him. Huge props to KC. They're gonna get it done.
They're gonna get the job done. Kalist, nope, he's got an Ivern. You thought he was dead? Absolutely not. It is a 2-0. It is a dominant 2-0 from Karmine Corp over Top Esports tonight.
"18 years old Kalist on the Ezreal. So much money in this game. Doesn't die.